great.
Did you get the... What the hell is Contessa doing? Get her off the goddamn set.
Oh, my God, I guess the I-Man has tuned in.
That relative come back and talk to you. This is one of the most frightening experiences I've ever had.
That is. I am, my hair is standing on end.
Mine would if it could.
But it's not going to be.
No.
All right. Well, Ron, thank you so much for calling in this morning.
Back from the dead, that's me out.
Well done. Thank you very much.
I'm going to go to church and light a candle.
I think, would you light one for me as you do?
Well, I'm going to light one that he stays out tomorrow, not that he comes back.
Oh.
Just before we...
You stop abusing Contessa, you old straw-haired...
One last question, though. Has Martha violated parole yet?
No, I don't think so. Listen, the bigger question is, do we get a verdict in the Bernie Embers case today from Williamstown? That's a very big story, and we may get something as early as today. And, that's an $11 billion fraud, and we're going to find out whether or not the jury thought Bernie was responsible or it was all the work of his underlings. All right, Ron and Santa, CNBC, Imus in the morning at 20 minutes till the hour. To the hoop, the Joseph A. Banks.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, Governor of California. And I would like to announce that this year we in California are introducing legislation that would ban the sale of all the junk food in the schools. Like my father before me, I believe the government should regulate everything, even what we put in our mouths. And that is not a reference to the gay marriage. But I think that we need to promote the nutrition of the fruits and the vegetables and the lean proteins and the whole grains, and not that of the Fruit Loops and the Twinkies and the hot dogs and the soda with the fat and the calories and like that. What you put in your body is more important than anything. Junk food, steroids is all bad. Just look at Imus. He follows a strict, organic, vegan diet, and maybe he's not such a good example. I mean, for a guy who chews 40 pieces of Nicorette gum a day, it seems ridiculous for him to be so worried about the levels of thimerosal in his flu shot. Because obviously, the flu shot didn't work itself. Imus is a good example of a man who did not take steroids. It's about the only thing he didn't take during the 70s, and come to think of it, maybe he should have taken the steroids. He might not have that Helen Gurley Brown little girly man chest of his. But if he is as sick as he is today, eating the tofu and the brown rice and the steamed kale, you wonder how bad he would feel if he ate the potato chips and the beer and the waffles with cheese. I took the steroids, and I'm not apologizing for doing it, because when I took them, they were legal, and I could get a fantastic 33-inch neck in a fraction of the time. But I always believed in good nutrition. Although every once in a while, I'd have the Wiener Schnitzel and the Stuffwurst and the ice-cold Stein of Haarbrau like that. Because I believe you have to be good to yourself. What's the use of having millions of dollars if you're just going to be miserable all the time? Unless you are Imus.
There I go again. Just getting warmed up. Just kind of finding my feet.
He's been up, he's been down. Some say moron, some say clown. But he may not know much. Can't afford losing ground now, so I'm voting W. Bush. Now Iraq, come undone. Fahrenheit, 911. That Michael Moore's just a bug. The polls made it down now. I'm still voting W. Bush.
I'm going to be a leader for peace. By strengthening our alliances, we will be friends with our allies when we don't need each other. Too many good docs are getting out of business. Too many OBGYNs aren't able to practice their love with women all across this country. There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, fool me once, shame on you. It fooled me, we can't get fooled again. Nuclear weapons.
He's a tool, understood. He's got dick in a white hood. JD's a bit out of touch. But Bobo's going down now, 'cause I'm voting W. Bush.
Under the dictator, prisons like Abu Ghraib prison. And to the C students, you too can be president of the United States. God bless America.
10 minutes till the top of the hour. This Imus in the morning, and some of the stories that Contessa and I have been following for you. The Pope giving followers a surprise today. He made an unexpected appearance at a hospital window in Rome. Third time the faithful have been able to see John Paul since he was rushed to the clinic for throat surgery nearly 2 weeks ago now. The appearance came shortly before noon, Rome time. He traditionally holds his weekly public audience at the Vatican on Wednesdays, and the event draws thousands. Waved, made the sign of the cross to the crowd with what we're told was a steady right hand. Several hundred people gathered at the hospital, cheered as his hand came into view, and they shouted, "The Pope, the Pope." Pope John Paul has spent nearly 2 weeks at the hospital resting, doing speech and breathing exercises. He had a tube inserted in his windpipe February 24th, and his recovery, we're told, continues to go well.
Well, today's report card says Americans are spending more time stuck in traffic and less time at home with their families. The study says it would take more than $1.5 trillion over the next 5 years to fix things. The engineers' report gives America's drinking water system a D- and figures it would cost $11 billion a year to bring it up to speed. But, boy, you know that there are all kinds of commuters who are sitting in traffic wishing that the government would just shell it out and fix the roads.
Former President Bill Clinton facing surgery in New York tomorrow that he says, and these are the words he has used, no big deal. Doctors will be removing fluid and scar tissue that had built up in his chest. There's a rare consequence of heart bypass surgery 6 months ago, saying he does feel fine. Mr. Clinton plans to take part still today in the charity golf tournament in Florida with former President Bush. The two have been raising money for tsunami relief. Mr. Clinton's wife, Senator Hillary Clinton, plans to be in New York for the surgery tomorrow. She says she's very confident about the outcome. Her husband says he's going to slow down, though, for the next couple of weeks. Standing by now, we go back to the United States Attorney General to catch us up on the world of sports. And here is the Honorable Alberto Gonzalez.
Thank you, Chuck. Randy Johnson, the guy with the gay porn star name, no wonder they call him the Big Unit, made his pitching debut yesterday for the Yankees in a crushing 8-2 loss to the Atlanta Braves, giving up a 2-run homer to his old nemesis, Chipper Jones. Johnson, one of the major league players who the commissioner should allow to take steroids because this guy needs help. He got a fastball like a 75-year-old faggot. Johnson said of his lackluster performance, I know I got a long way to go. I'll get there. Well, Randy, hopefully by October, you maricon. In other spring training action, Orioles lost to the Mets 7-4. Kaz Matsui, who moved to second base from shortstop last season, made a diving catch. You gotta love it, the dedication of these Japanese guys. You know, loyalty to the organization, put everything ahead of themselves. They got some pride. Give him a couple of pieces of raw tuna and a bowl of rice, and he runs through a brick wall for you. In the NBA, the Knicks beat the Wizards 93-83 in an embarrassing game at the Garden last night. There was more limping and wincing and whining from the Wizards on the court last night than there is in the MSNBC studios every morning when the I-Man is there. And by the way, Arnold Schwarzenegger had to answer steroid questions at his Arnold Classic bodybuilding event in Columbus, Ohio this weekend, as well as allegations of sexism. As the female champion of the event, only won $17,000 and a watch, while the top male bodybuilding guy got $100,000, a watch, and a Hummer. The SUV, that is, not the, you know. In a related story, Bill Clinton withdrew his application for next year's Arnold Classic not because of his impending heart surgery tomorrow, but because the Hummer included in the prize was an SUV and not the, With sports, I'm Alberto Gonzalez, AG. Back to you, Chuck and Contessa.
It is now 5 minutes till the hour.
University Medical Center, 60-second radio spot. Take one.
Hackensack University Medical Center.
C.com/1995. SBC. Going beyond the call. Taxes, other charges, and the Federal Universal Service Cost Recovery Fee Extra. For details of additional charges, restrictions, and requirements, call 1-866-416-6471 toll-free or visit sbc.com/offer details.
Imus in the Morning News Time is now 5 minutes past the top of the hour. Time for world and national headline stories. Among them, Iraqi police discovering 35 bodies in 2 separate mass killings. The bodies of 19 men and 1 woman found in a field near the Syrian border yesterday, all apparently shot to death some days ago. The victims were wearing civilian clothing, but authorities don't say who they were or who killed them. And another announcement today says Iraqi troops found 15 bodies yesterday to the south of Baghdad. All had been decapitated. The victims included 10 men, 3 women, and 2 children. They were discovered inside an abandoned army base. A defense ministry spokesman thinks some of the men might have been Iraqi soldiers who were abducted in that area a couple of weeks ago. A formal investigation into the shooting death of an Italian Secret Service agent is underway and should be concluded in 3 to 4 weeks. That's what General George Casey told a Pentagon briefing yesterday. General Casey is the commander of multinational forces in Iraq.
We are still working through the modalities of the investigation, and we are working closely with the Italians on their participation in the investigation.
Italian journalist Giuliana Segreina was wounded in the attack shortly after being released by kidnappers in Iraq. U.S. troops firing on the vehicle that Segreina and the Italian agent were traveling in as it headed toward the airport at Baghdad. Meanwhile, Segreina has suggested that she perhaps was targeted by U.S. troops. She and the Italian agent may have been targeted, this was her account, because the U.S. opposes Italy's practice of negotiating with hostage takers. The White House dismissing the suggestion, calling it absurd. Mount St. Helens spewed a large plume of ash and steam above southwestern Washington state yesterday. Cloud that went up to about 40,000 feet, in fact, and could be seen from Portland, Oregon. Bill Steele of the University of Washington Geophysics Center says there is tremor activity under the volcano.
We have the continuing earthquakes that are occurring a couple of times a minute that are chugging along as this dome is continuing to build and lava is continuing to extrude on the crater floor, apparently, at least looking at the seismicities.
Air traffic had to be rerouted away from the area, and people living near the volcano were placed under an ashfall advisory. Authorities say they're keeping a close watch on it, but they have not declared a volcanic emergency at this time. Brother of Michael Jackson's accuser says Michael told them not to tell anybody what had happened at his Neverland Ranch. The boy's testimony is at the heart of the prosecution's case against Jackson, who's accused of child molestation. He testified Monday that he twice saw Jackson molesting his sleeping brother. He's also said Jackson showed him porn and gave him wine. The boy's now 14, testified yesterday that Jackson told them to keep everything a secret, quote, even if they put a gun to your head. During cross-examination, Jackson's attorney accused the boy of breaking into the singer's wine cellar and stash of adult magazines and was able to cast doubt on this youngster's credibility. Former President Clinton will undergo another round of surgery this week at New York Presbyterian Hospital Columbia University Medical Center, where doctors will remove some scar tissue and fluid that has built up in the 6 months since Mr. Clinton's quadruple bypass. The former president, during an appearance at the White House yesterday, says he's taking it all in stride.
All they have to do is drain it and take that little peel to hold the fluid out. It's a routine sort of deal, and it'll knock me out of commission for a week or two, and then I'll be back to normal. It's no big deal.
The procedure is scheduled to take place tomorrow. The 58-year-old expected to make a full recovery. In fact, both he and former President Bush are planning to keep the date for a Florida charity golfing event today They have been busy traveling around the world promoting tsunami relief.
Was he talking about his heart, sir?
I think he was.
All they have to do is drain it.
Yeah. No, I think he was talking about this fluid that has built up as a consequence of the earlier surgery.
I had fluid build up on me before. The White House, when Hillary was there.
Fine. And successfully handled the situation. I won't go beyond that, believe me. Pope John Paul II surprised visitors today when he made an unexpected appearance at his hospital window in Rome. The Pope usually holds a general audience on Wednesdays, but has had to cancel while he's been in the hospital. Dozens of people, though, gathered outside the hospital today despite the cancellation and were pleasantly surprised when the pontiff came to the window and waved. He's been recovering from throat surgery, the tracheotomy, in Rome's Gemelli Hospital since February 24th. Jurors in actor Robert Blake's murder case resumed deliberations this morning in Los Angeles after deliberating for 5.5 hours yesterday without asking any questions of the court or making any request to review trial testimony. Blake wasn't in court. His attorney says the actor will only appear when required by the judge. Blake is accused of killing his wife, Bonnie Lee Backley, who allegedly tricked him into marrying her. She was fatally shot nearly 4 years ago now near the 71-year-old actor's favorite Italian restaurant in Studio City. If convicted, he could be sentenced to life in prison. And overseas, a fatal food incident at a Philippine school. At least 27 children in the Philippines have died from food poisoning after they ate a snack during morning recess at school. The vice mayor of the southern town where this mass poisoning occurred said the first and second graders ate some deep-fried caramelized cassava. Another 100 youngsters had the snack, are hospitalized. A relative of one of the victims says the children bought the food item from a regular vendor. This is an edible tuber that has many uses, flour, breads, tapioca, and can be toxic if eaten raw. A specimen of it has been taken for inspection at the local crime laboratory group, but 27 kids died in this incident as a result of ingesting this particular item. A Michigan man, happy to be alive today, injured when a 65-pound manhole cover crashed through the windshield of his SUV. A vehicle in front of his apparently hit an unsecured manhole cover, forced it to flip like a tiddlywink, flying through the air. Joe Taravella needed 17 staples to close a wound in his head. He's glad there were no passengers in the car, he said, since the manhole cover sliced off the passenger headrest. That's some of the top stories we're following at 11 minutes now after the hour.
Your liver lately?
I'm still looking.
Still looking.
That's too bad. Well, we don't have time to fool around. Let's go to David Gregory, the White House correspondent for NBC News, who's traveling with the president in Rome. Good morning, David.
Good morning, Don. You sound a bit irritated this morning, so I wouldn't want to provoke you by saying something like, buongiorno.
No, I like that.
Okay.
Yeah. I noticed, were you there for the, where were you when the Pope was reading that statement?
I was actually here at our work site, which is at a nearby hotel where our filing center was. So I was watching it on our internal monitors. But it's very difficult to understand the Pope. I mean, he's our Rome bureau chief, Stephen Week, was who covers him day in and day out. Says it's it really depends day to day on how he's feeling, how his voice is, as to whether he can be understood. And this wasn't a very good day for him. And it was a sensitive meeting going in, because of the Pope's criticism about the Iraq War, his criticism about the scandal at Abu Ghraib prison, and he went out of his way to make clear that his condemnation for the war, but also hoping for a speedy resolution and a return
how do we
to
know
Iraqi
that we couldn't
sovereignty.
understand him?
Well, we will be able to read the text.
Oh. In case y'all weren't listening earlier this morning, here's a little bit of the Pope, Lou.
Deeper understanding between the United States of America and Europe. We surely pray
That's just a little bit of the Pope earlier this morning in a joint press conference.
Don't laugh.
I'm not laughing.
That's not
Going to hell.
I'm not laughing.
Lou, you're an idiot.
I'm not laughing.
Well, who made him play the tape?
Well, no, but I mean, I wanted to give people a sense of what they put this poor thing through. God bless him, the living saint. So anyway, well, was that kind of how you guys saw it there in the room you were in, David?
You're just an awful person. I don't know how to describe it other than that. That you couldn't be a worse person. I mean, what possible motive could you have had? But I actually did understand most of that. What he was talking about there was a speedy resolution and a speedy return to Iraqi sovereignty.
Speedy resolution of what?
President looked enthralled, didn't he?
He was attentive. This is a very formal occasion.
Well, I already know I'm going to hell, so.
Man, and it just
I would ask you politely not to drag me into a scenario.
Right.
That you're trying to play out here, because I'm not going to.
I'm not. I'll tell you what my true feelings are. I think I don't know why they do that. They shouldn't do that. The poor thing. I mean, God bless him. That's actually how I really feel. So I can't help it if Charles and Bernie and Lou think it's amusing, because I don't.
Crying out loud. Yeah, we're the ones who said, wait, do we have that audio from the Pope earlier?
Who's selling that to?
You come on.
No, I have a responsibility to 10 million people to let them know what the hell is going on in the world.
How convenient.
The Pope is having a problem, and Earthlink sucks. That's all. Anyway, back to far more serious things. So you're on your way to France with the president, right? Duh. I guess I should know that, right, David?
Yes, we are. We're going. He goes in there tomorrow. He meets with Jacques Chirac, and then we'll go on to Normandy. I mean, the whole theme of this trip is interesting, because the speech he gave at the Air Force Academy in Colorado the other day really foreshadowed a theme he intends to voice here, which is, let's not forget our sense of common cause in World War II, and let's try to rekindle that when it comes to the war in Iraq, securing its future, agreeing to make a commitment to make this government survive, and let's renew that sense of common cause about the war on terror, all of which has been damaged because of the disagreements over the war in Iraq. But European leaders don't seem to be in any mood to give a lot of concessions to the president right now. Certainly not Chirac, who's not prepared to commit troops to Iraq. He's providing resistance to the UN resolution, wanting to include language that would give Iraqis veto power over U.S. military operations, which is a non-starter. The president's in Italy, though. Beyond meeting with the Pope, he's going to be meeting with Prime Minister Berlusconi, who has been a stalwart ally despite widespread opposition to the war here. He's got 3,000 troops in Iraq, may send more. So this is as much about holding on to the allies we've got in Iraq, making sure they will keep their troop levels where they are and don't pull them out, while at the same time trying to attract more support with this resolution.
There was some speculation. In fact, I even thought that this commemoration of D-Day would provide that obviously is providing an opportunity for the President of the United States and President Chirac to get together, that it might somehow lead to some resolution of the problems between the two countries, but you don't seem to think that's going to happen, huh?
Well, I think there'll be some polite talk. I don't think there'll be obvious disagreements as they're remembering the sacrifice and the heroism of World War II. And I think the best that the United States can hope for right now, what this administration can hope for, is that France plays some kind of constructive role in training Iraqi security forces or police, pledging perhaps money, and just not being an obstacle as it was in the run-up to the war. I think that's really the best that can be hoped for out of the U.S.-French relationship right now.
Charles and I noticed, and I'm sure millions of other people did as well, or maybe they didn't notice, but we noticed, that last night you had on the same dopey blue and white check shirt, though this time you toned it down with a blue tie. But my question is, I can get you some shirts.
Well, I don't know if this is going to help or hurt my cause, but in fact, that is it's a slightly different shirt.
Oh, my God.
It's a second shirt with a similar pattern. And it just goes to the point that I'm not going to shrink from wearing these prints that
Ugly clothes.
I'm pleasing.
No.
But indeed, there are two shirts. So it wasn't a situation where I said, oh, geez, I've got to wear the Tuesday shirt on Wednesday again. It wasn't one of those deals.
I like the old Chris Christopherson line. I went through my closet and picked out my cleanest dirty shirt, you know.
It wasn't one of those deals.
Who thought that when you went shopping and you found the one, the tablecloth shirt, I call it.
Yeah.
Who thought that it would be a good idea to get yet another slightly different one, but one that most people, even fashion-conscious people such as me and Chuck, couldn't distinguish?
Yeah. Well, let me make a couple of points. One is I wouldn't necessarily put you in that group. That's A. B. The answer to your question is me. I decided on both occasions that was a good idea. I take responsibility for that.
Did you buy the second shirt after post-criticism from the I-Man of the initial shirt?
No, I'd actually had these for some time, but it did cross my mind when I put it on yesterday what might be coming my way, and as I often do, I decided I'm going to do it anyway.
I noted to the I-Man earlier today that it almost looked as if it were an in-your-face episode, that I'll wear this shirt whether he likes it or not.
It was an I-Man provoking moment.
And here
because when I think about the story of the day and when I'm analyzing world affairs, my first thought is, how's the I-Man going to react to this?
God may forgive you, but I won't. Yes, Jesus loves you, but I don't. They don't have to live with you, neither do I. You say that you're born again, well, so am I. God may forgive you, but I won't even try. I'm up in the morning.
Stand by for a shocker. My BMW dealer is 3 times better than yours, and I'll...
Between the United States and Europe, the Pontiff says many of the problems currently facing humanity could be resolved if the U.S. and Europe entered into what he described as a fuller relationship.
Listen, very much. I have said, over heads of state, Iraq, and then liberation.
Oh, there it is.
Just some of the Pontiff's plea today as he welcomed President Bush and the First Lady to the Vatican. The Pope, obviously 84 years old, and his health is diminishing, as he is diminishing, very frail and difficult at times to understand.
Charles is going to hell.
Why? Why? I thought I have... Well, now, what did I do wrong then?
No, we know
So
you
when you paused, you went, huh?
No,
Oh, there he is.
first of all, you play it for 2 minutes with the intention of
22 seconds
come on.
of a man who is the leader of 16% of the global population.
A beautiful man.
Over 1 billion Roman Catholics.
Giving
Why
his life
wouldn't
to
I
God.
give this guy... Come on.
You're a sick bastard.
63 million
you are.
Catholics in the United States of America, Roman Catholics. Shouldn't
You
they hear
are a
from their Pope? Of
devious
course they
weirdo.
should.
I'm not buying it.
The Pope's plea was made as he welcomed President Bush and the First Lady to the Vatican today. The President telling the Pope the American government is aiming to help assure a better global world.
His Holiness Pope John Paul II has championed the cause of the poor, the weak, the hungry, and the outcast.
Go. Did I just hear you two arguing? I was out of the room, but...
Oh, yes. As a matter of fact.
By the way, I didn't know you were out of the room.
Well, it's okay.
But yes, we were arguing.
Well, yeah, I was being chastised for very respectfully playing a few of the Pope's other comments that.
Oh, you creep! That's a lie. Respectfully.
22 seconds, and it was with total respect. Absolutely, there's no question.
You right-wing sheet-wearing.
Well, that's jerk. Yeah, well, you excuse
You know
me.
better than that greaseball that shot the Pope a couple of years ago.
Oh, well, come on. Now, that's just
that Hungarian or whatever
it
it was.
ridiculous. There was nothing in my presentation of the Pope's remarks that was disrespectful. Nothing.
Why did we need to hear them?
Well,
I didn't hear them, by the way.
Oh, well, here, they went kind of like...
Well, Lou, do you have those?
Well, yeah, you decide for yourself.
Here we go. Here we go.
Listen, the foreigners overheard things overheard of state. Yes, and then generation.
Oh, you evil bastard, Charles.
Excuse me?
Go on the other side. Fine. Lou. I'm warning you, Lou.
He's not finished
I'm
yet.
starting to feel the heat right now.
Okay.
Don't interrupt the Pope.
Jeez.
There.
That's not funny.
Now, what was wrong with that?
Chuck and Imus, Satan and Lucifer.
What are you laughing at?
I'm laughing at you refusing my instructions to stop playing
I
it.
wasn't finished talking.
Oh, you son of a bitch. What's the matter with you?
It wasn't done.
Any Mother Teresa jokes, Chuck?
No, I said nothing. I played the pontiff. Just describing him as
that is
wanting
awful.
a fuller relationship with the United States and Europe.
Yeah, we always play 48-second cuts, Charles.
The President and First Lady in Italy to commemorate
That's a
the
48-second cut, Charles?
What? Well, with this man representing, as I said, 16% of the global population.
well, you are, do you?
He should be heard, a man in full.
You're a criminal.
That's all there is to it.
You're worse than that. You're what we defeated at Normandy. You are the personification of evil.
Deep respect for the Roman Catholic Church, Roman Catholics, and the Holy See.
On a serious note, by the way, why they would put the Pope in this position is, I don't know, it just doesn't seem, it's heartbreaking, you know? To most people, not you, obviously.
We want to hear from our Pope.
Absolutely.
No, you're not like that. It's like when they put Kiefer Sutherland's father up to the Academy Awards on stage after he had a stroke. And
No, it's not.
Same exact thing. You remember where he talked about his kid winning the award?
Kiefer Sullivan is a dirtbag. We're talking about the Pope.
Coach Douglas, I mean. Coach Douglas.
Kirk Douglas.
Yeah. Put him up on stage. He looked like he was,
Still alive. They're men with their brains are still in good working order, unlike yours.
Of course.
I don't think the Pope sounded that bad. Let me hear it, Lou.
You can understand this. I'm telling you. You can. And there's a very
Well,
important...
be quiet so we can see.
I heard things.
There you go.
Overheard of state. Yes, and then
Generation.
Shut up, Charles.
Stein, Maine.
Charles.
We should walk out, Lou.
This is not funny. Oh, you gotta stop it.
I'm ashamed.
Well, you're at the controls, Lou. Turn it off.
Oh, we're not done listening. Everybody's holding their sides. It's unbelievable. You guys are holding your sides.
Charles, you and Sid really are going to hell in a handbasket.
No.
I'm not holding my sides.
No. Sid is actually off the chair. I'm not even laughing. What are you kidding? You backed the chair up. You almost fell out of your chair.
Should be holding your lip with blood dripping down from it.
Again.
And the lightning better stay in that room, out of this room.
No lightning here.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, right. He has no breath left. Oh, yeah, I wasn't laughing. Oh, not me.
The man is a scholar. He
Make fun of an elderly invalid
multitude of languages, one of which was being demonstrated there. I'm not sure which one.
Shut up, you jerk. You guys proud of yourselves?
The potential for trouble from Bertha forced President Clinton to cancel a political trip to Florida this evening. Here in New York, our meteorologist and resident hurricane expert is Joe Whitty, and he's tracking what now appears to be a wobble.
Well, there's your next pope. Tom Brokaw. I used to like this record. All right, come on.
We've been together way back when. Sometimes I never want to see you again. But I want you to know, after all these years, you're still the one I want whispering in my ear. You're still the one I want to talk to in bed. Still the one that turns my head. We're still having fun, and you're still the one I miss in the morning.
Take it to the hoop. The Jews of Abe.
The front line, all you do is whine. Isn't it true? People say, John, where have you gone? It's time to get it on, or you ain't beaten W. You used to make some sense. Then you started jumping back and forth over the fence. Hard to believe it, one time you beat out Howard Dean. Yet I'm the one on the cover of Newsweek magazine. They clubbing you to death just like a baby seal. How does it feel to make an appeal? Hang dog looking for a bone, a virtual unknown. It's like there's no one home. While Bush was at the prom, you went to Vietnam, got yourself wounded right there in the Asian continent. You found another wife and started a new life with a lady who inherited a fortune from a guy who sold condiments. You once said help was on the way. Well, Johnny, guess what? So is election day. For your campaign is in disarray. And well, you ain't exactly JFK. It was all yours to lose, and now it's theirs to steal. How does it feel? You were the real deal. Now you're just a drone, making supporters groan. Face as stiff as stone. It's like there's no one home. Oh, you got yourself some spots and a bunch of purple hearts. Better watch your private parts, cause Johnny, you about to get kicked in them. And the swift boat guys, now it's you who they despise. Spreading a lot of lies, but here's the big surprise. You never contradicted them. Why do you act so afraid? Pull a pin and start throwing them grenades. There's still a couple of states who you've got to persuade. Maybe you should do like Bubba, find an intern and get laid. Get rid of Mary Beth Cahill and hire Donna Brazil. How does it feel to know your fate sealed? Now you're on your own, and you're all alone. Maybe you should learn to play the saxophone. Lights are on, but no one's home. Ain't nobody home.
So back to Brant for a second now. What it's this party for Lou, the big surprise party over at Planet Hollywood.
Yeah. More stories now coming in.
What's the latest now?
Not just fornicating with the doll and not just smashing into a glass table, but I think at one point, and again, Luke is the guy that can confirm this, At one point, his jacket caught fire.
Actually, Kara can confirm it.
Kara, right.
Lou was out of his mind.
Yeah, you got to get Kara.
I didn't see that, but I heard about it.
His jacket was on fire. I mean, literally on fire, and Brandt was just had no idea. He just kept talking and.
How did his jacket?
I guess he was leaning over and his jacket hit the candle.
He
on
backed
the.
into a candle.
Oh.
He backed into a candle. I think somebody warned him about it, and he still did. Eddie could confirm it too. Eddie was there.
Get Eddie in there.
One of them.
Eddie or Kerry, the one of them.
My God.
Well, I mean, but this now. Well, The Apprentice is on tonight on NBC after Friends, and whoever gets axed tonight will be on this program tomorrow. We'll find out what their story is. So.
Okay.
I haven't seen any of these post-Apprentice interviews with any of these people. What are the kind? Have you seen any of them, Bernie?
The only one I saw highlights of is of Sam when he proposed to his
Oh, yeah.
his very unattractive fiancée.
So, Kara, what happened now with Brandt with his jacket?
Oh, it was...
That's another deal. You got to put your headphones on. God, you don't wear headphones in the office just to answer the question.
Well, she can't hear all of us.
I don't care whether she can hear you. That doesn't answer my question. You're not talking to her. I am.
Hi, Kara.
And what did Brandt do now?
Well, we were standing around talking with Brandt.
You were?
And, yes, and
Okay.
Frank and a couple other people. And he's telling us about, I think, Freddie Mercury or whatever. And all of a sudden, we're like, what is that smell?
What about Freddie Mercury?
He was just saying how he used to drive him and tell him some stories. So we smell this unbelievable odor. And I'm looking around. I thought it was Eddie Scazzeri's hair. And it turns out Eddie starts furiously patting Brandt's ass. And his jacket is on fire. It leaned against the candle. And the whole jacket caught on fire.
Well, how'd we get it out?
Eddie Scazzeri saved his life. He was patting his ass. Yeah.
Oh, so he went home with Brandt and the blow-up doll that night too, huh?
Right.
Eddie didn't realize he was
Well,
on
what kind
fire.
of shape was Brandt in?
Oh, it was
Not good.
horrible, yes. And then 5 minutes later, like they were saying, he took the doll and actually he was dancing with the blow-up doll.
Brandt was.
Yes, and then loses his balance and falls over the glass table, drinks, cake, everything on top of him, and the blow-up doll straight on his face. The most hilarious thing I've ever seen in my life.
And boy, was it loud.
I couldn't believe it.
Loud.
We were dying.
I thought he broke the table. I thought he had smashed a glass table.
Yep.
Well, what happens if then something comes up, say, and I beat Brandt at that moment? I mean, well.
If he even finds the beeper, you're lucky.
Right.
Doesn't he have a backup driver for
He
it?
must have.
No question.
I haven't had to beep him lately on the weekends.
Yeah, I'll tell you what happened. I'll tell you what happened. All of a sudden, Dave Bunzel would show up with a little hat on and a jacket.
And Brand in the trunk.
There's no tenderness like grief in your fingertips. You're trying hard not to show it, but baby, I know it. You lost that love and feeling. Oh, that love and feeling. You lost that love and feeling. Now it's gone, gone,
Welcome back.
Bundi Alu Hasid, all back in Baghdad at Kairaki Radio Studios. Coming up, Senator Jahan Mahrain and Jaroja Karlin, who is, genius. But here now in studio with Hamas in the morning, my wife, Diarda Homan Al-Hamas, and our 6-year-old son, Farid Wayata Al-Hamas.
Hasid sucks.
Yes, I am in agreement with you, my son. Hasid does indeed suck.
Dang.
Yes, honey, yes, he is stung. Well, what are we going to do today? We going to take children on goat ride, yes?
Dang.
Honey, I am not thinking saying the word dung over and over is funny.
Funnier than you.
Okay. Time for you to be going.
No, I am wanting to stay here, speak on radio.
Okay, then, what would you like to say?
Dang.
That will be fine. I mean, you just can't get on air and repeat the word dang over and over.
Why not? This is how you are making career. Good point, Bodhi. Okay, my son, it is time for you to go.
Right. I go back to placing explosives underneath one of Chief's.
What? No. Why, Arthur, you cannot be doing that. Which Jeep have you wired with detonation device?
I am not telling you.
Get out of my studio. I mean, you can't make this stuff up.
You better have Camel Jack start your car for you.
24 minutes after the hour, and I am Hamas in the morning.
Never mind. He already had some. Hamas in the morning.
Copyright 2005, Infinity Broadcasting. All rights reserved. Imus in the Morning is a presentation of WFAN and Westwood One Entertainment.
Imus in the morning, Rosenberg and Benigno in midday, Mike and the Mad Dog in the afternoon, Steve Summers at night, and Chris Carlin overnight. Listen to them all here on your flagship station for New York sports. The Fan, Sports Radio 66, WFAN New York, an Infinity Broadcasting station.
Good morning, 10 o'clock. This is John Minko. Now, here's Yankee Jason Giambi speaking.
Imus in the morning, Rosenberg and Benigno in midday, Mike and the Mad Dog in the afternoon, Steve Summers at night, and Chris Carlin overnight. Listen to them all here on your flagship station for New York sports. The Fan, Sports Radio 66, WFAN New York, an Infinity Broadcasting station.
Good morning, 10 o'clock. This is John Minko. Now, here's Yankee Jason Giambi speaking to reporters today. Response to the latest story on steroids. Giambi, Sammy Sosa, Kurt Schilling, a group of players to receive subpoenas to testify on March 17th before the House Government Reform Committee regarding steroids.
They don't already know. I mean, so we came out and we talked about, we apologized, so to be honest with you, I haven't even thought about it yet.
Rafael Palmeiro, Frank Thomas, Jose Canseco, Mark McGuire will also be called to appear at the hearing. The Knicks win again, 5-1 since the trade deadline, 7 straight at home. Knicks taking control of the second half. They beat the Wizards 98-83. Jamal Crawford with 19.
I think we did really well defensively. You know, they have a tough backcourt with Arenas and Hughes, but, you know, we knew it was a team effort defensively. Our bigs were there for us. Our guards played pretty good defense tonight, and it was a good defense effort. That's why we have to win.
In San Antonio, the Nets dropped their third game in a row, third straight lopsided loss. Spurs are a good team, especially with mostly sunny skies at this hour. That's what's happening. This is John Minko with 2020 Sports on WFAN, your home for the Mike and the Mad Dog program. Weekdays 1 until 6:30. On the Fan, a good Wednesday morning to you. The midday show, Benigno and Rosenberg. Of course, I'm flying solo. Joe Benigno for a little while longer. 718-937-6666 is the phone number. Can you right through to 1 o'clock when, of course, Mike and the Mad Dog will come your way live from spring training. No, not in Port St. Lucie today, but in Tampa with the Yankees. Matty Deutsch, Dolph Kramer, actually Winter Haven. Let me get that right. That's where they are today, but they'll be with the Yankees, Mike and Chris. And as I said, Dolph Kramer and Matty Deutsch on the other side of the glass. And, you know, I'll open up.
Angelina Jolie is going to be on Nightline tonight talking about the United Nations Refugee Agency.
Yeah, guys will be whacking it while she talks about
She tries
refugees.
to get political. She'll be on tonight at 11:35 with George Stephanopoulos. So.
She should wear like almost nothing. And
What
then
do you
talk
think
about
she'll come on wearing now that she's, she has something serious?
She'll be seriously dressed.
Yeah?
Yeah. Like a turtleneck. You know what I mean?
And tonight is the final episode.
Chicks dress like, they like their Barbie.
Well, it's like a role.
Yeah. I'm going to be serious. I'm going to wear a turtleneck.
So she'll just have a different costume on tonight.
Then when I'm wearing Billy Bob's blood, I'm going to put on no panties with a slit up the middle and no bra.
Dan Rather has his final broadcast this evening as the anchor of the CBS Evening News.
He promises to get really crazy for it.
He's been with us since March 9th of 1981. Here is the first sign-on of Dan Rather. C1.
Fred, play the first sign-on of Dan Rather.
Agreement's an agreement. I don't care how much wrong we were.
There it is. The great broadcaster and gentleman, Doug Edwards, preceded me in this job, and another, Dan Rather, will follow. This is the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather.
Good evening. President Reagan, still training his spotlight on the economy, today talked about a package of budget cuts that he will send to Congress tomorrow.
You're mine, Meach. You're my possession.
So that was Walter Cronkite. He didn't say anything bad about Rather that day, but
You want to play? I'll play with you. We'll play hard, too.
All right. Saying bad things ever since. Here's Rather covering another story, a big story that happened during his tenure at CBS. This is reporting on the Berlin Wall as Germans celebrated the historic end of the country's division, C2.
In Berlin, this is definitely the end place to be. The sights and sounds, all the joy and the history in front of the Brandenburg Gate.
Wow. And then, of course, September 11th, C3.
A stunning and cowardly strike on the United States. Terrorists send mighty skyscrapers crumbling to the ground. Many innocent people are dead. The president vows the killers will pay for this attack on America. September 11th, 2001.
Dan Rather will be remembered by CBS at 8 p.m. tonight when they broadcast Dan Rather, A Reporter Remembers, with a retrospective of all the stories he's covered during his long career in the news department at CBS.
Anybody want to hear a tape of cops tasering a Mexican guy?
I know we love our taser tape.
As long as it's a Mexican.
No, the cop, this is from the TV show Cops, and they had to taser this Mexican guy. This guy's so strong, he takes the taser away from the cops.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
He's described as a male Mex with a black leather vest on. Officers right now fist fighting with the subject.
No, take him down! Sit down!
I got him.
Watch it, back up! I got him! I got his hands!
Oh, my.
I tell you, the invention of the taser saved the TV show Cops.
It is true.
Yeah. All right, anything else, Robin?
Yeah, how's your relationship going with Rebecca Romaine? Are you two still friends? Or?
Funny, I said to Beth last night, we're laying in bed, I said, can you believe, Rebecca isn't even, friendly with us anymore? Her and John get a divorce. And John, John's coming in on the show this week, and John and I speak and email each other. I said, just really weird. I mean, I had a friendship with Rebecca. And I said, isn't it weird how she just kind of bowed out? And Beth didn't answer me.
Oh.
She just said, yeah, it's weird. I mean, it's just a great.
Well, sometimes people perceive you as being more of a friend of their spouse.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, I want to be in Rebecca's life more than John.
And I guess she didn't want to take that away from you.
No.
She probably could have.
Oh, please. No offense, I'd much rather be friends with her. She's known to come over the house and walk around in panties and bra.
So's John.
And I would gladly badmouth John with her. Gladly.
Well, you were kind of rough on her new boyfriend, so I don't know if that didn't help.
Who cares? Please. So let her marry him. Hey,
you just can't say bad things about her. Anyway, I brought it up because it looks like she's going to do a pilot for a TV show.
Rebecca?
Yeah, Pepper Dennis. They said...
Pepper Dennis?
Yeah, Rebecca and a couple of other women are in this pilot. I don't know what Pepper Dennis is all about, but it sounds like a Charlie's Angels kind of thing.
Hi,
Three hot chicks.
I'm a hot chick. My name is Pepper Dennis. Pepper Dennis. Whose name is Pepper Dennis?
I don't know.
Baba Booey.
Dennis Pepper, maybe, but no Pepper Dennis.
Sounds like three hot chicks with a bad script.
What?
To tell you the truth, as a guy, if I was single and I had to pick between being friends with Rebecca or John, I'd go with John every time because John knows how to party hard. This dude always has a party going on.
Well, yeah.
This guy, you go over his house, he's got 50 models sitting around.
50?
Yep. John will get you laid more.
Well, that's true.
Yeah,
and one would wonder why you would side with Rebecca instead of John, because he's going to have the party going on.
That's what I'm saying. And Rebecca, while she's good looking, her friends aren't hot at all.
Oh, really?
Well, she doesn't hang out with any hot chicks.
Drew Carey is in Robots, the new animated feature that's coming out and has almost everybody in it. Drew explains to us why he didn't use a different voice. B1.
I kind of tried to, but I think the first recording session, I thought I was doing some kind of character-y voice, and then it was like 2 months later I did the second session, and I was like, do you remember what I talked like the last time I was here? I couldn't even remember. We did like these, like 10 sessions or something, and I did them like a month and a half, 2 months apart.
So he couldn't remember his voice. He had to use his own.
Yeah, that's because he's rich.
Right, he'd work at it if he was making his living doing that.
Right.
Woody Allen spoke to the press in anticipation of the March 18th release of his new movie, Melinda and Melinda. Woody was asked what it's like being married to a much younger woman.
Who used to be sort of your wife's daughter.
Who used to be the sister of your son.
It's very interesting being married to someone who's considerably younger than me, because there are many things that I know just from sheer chronology that she's just not aware of and didn't live through. On the other hand, she has a perspective on things that's very youthful that I don't have, because I, will be 70 in December.
Young, wet bitches.
Here he was, he answers the question what scares him about the prospect of turning 70?
It does. Not that age. Any age. I mean, it scared me when I turned 30 and 40 and 50. Yeah. Or that always scares me. And I guess so-called milestone birthdays, have a drama to them. They have a round number, 0 next to the digit. So yeah, it does. Sure, I hate the thought of getting older and the inevitable, facing decay and death.
Yep. He's a fun guy.
Hey, it must be great around the house.
Did either of you guys, Robin or Howard, see Wild Man Blues? You know what that is?
No.
It's a documentary. You have to see it. It's fascinating. It's him touring Europe with a jazz band with Sun Yi. And they go from city to city, and it is unbelievably fascinating.
Really?
Yeah, it's like a reality show with those two on the road together.
Wow, I'd love to see that.
Yeah, I gotta get that.
And the end part is him talking to his parents in their New York City apartment, and he just gave them all his Oscars. The Oscars are just laying on a table somewhere, and his parents talking to him. It's fascinating. It's called Wild Man Blues. You'd love it.
I'm gonna get it.
Gotta pick that up.
Yeah.
Here's Woody to answer the question if he knows his audience.
When I was a nightclub comic, they would say, the college kids will go crazy over you. Then I'd go play at college and nobody would turn out at all. I'd have, half the audience and no one would see me. Then they would say, well, it's the New Yorker magazine audience. But it wasn't that audience. It was some people, but not others. This has varied over the years, and I've never been able to find who my audience is, except that there's not many of them.
And he was asked if he watched the Oscars on February 27th.
I did. That was the night of the Orlando-Miami game, and I watched the basketball game because I'm a big basketball fan.
And he says he doesn't think he'll ever be able to retire.
I get the fantasy that if I retired and just spent my days doing nothing, I would be happy, just getting up in the morning and walking the streets and having lunch and watching a movie and going to the museum and playing with my kids. And then I get a couple of days off, and I do that. And then I'm antsy to get back. So I feel that I'll probably die in the saddle, sort of, working like Buñuel or something, working until I drop.
And that's what's happening.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you for sharing that interview with us. Excellent job. All right. We'll see you tomorrow.
New music alternative, 92.3 K-Rock.
Luckily, I am still here because I have to speak about Rip Fuel.
Thank you.
Hey, now, how about that Rip Fuel? They say size matters, but I'm going to give you an example where smaller is better. I'm talking about your stomach, your abs. And Rip Fuel, the extreme fat burner, is going to help you see your abs again. How's that? And besides, smaller abs make everything else look bigger. Rip Dad.
Benigno flying solo, the midday show. Sid and Joe.
and a little Hotel California taking us to our next commercial break.
The road to St. Louis is right here on the Fan, starting with our big triple header of college hoops action. This Saturday at 3:45, it's an ACC semifinal, followed by the A-10 and Big East championships. All here on your flagship station for March Madness, the Fan, Sports Radio 66, WFAN New York.
Don't miss this opportunity to work for the New York City Department of Correction and join the... 7:02 on the Fan, hour 2 of our radio program, the midday show. Benigno and Rosenberg. Benigno by himself for a while longer. 718-937-6666 is the phone number carrying right through to 1 o'clock. Mike and Chris will, of course, come your way. They'll be live from Winter Haven, Florida, with the New York Yankees. Matty Deutsch, Dolph Kramer on the other side of the glass. You know, one thing very interesting, and I didn't go to the Knicks game last night because of the weather. I was going to go, but Matty Deutsch, my producer, did. And something very funny, this whole Cablevision Time Warner thing.
Long enough.
Return tomorrow morning. Excellent. What do you mean if the wheels come off? They were never on today.
You know, why? I don't just understand this viciousness from you, and you could not have a bigger supporter of the entire McEnroe family, by the way, particularly your dad, in fact, primarily your dad, than me.
I mean, look, you and Bernie can rip me all you want about Davis Cup.
Don't lump me in with this, McEnroe.
What do you mean don't lump you in with it?
No, I just simply was defending myself when you attacked me for trying to help these millions of heartbroken parents across the country, these little suffering children.
You should be like me, immune to criticism.
There's Chuck with the news. McEnroe's coming up with sports. Morning, Charles.
Morning, I'm A fatal fire on Staten Island this morning has claimed the life of a 4-year-old girl. Firefighters were called in to battle a blaze in the basement of the home on Brook Street. A woman was pulled from the flames, taken to St. Vincent's Hospital, where she's listed in critical condition. Authorities aren't sure if the girl and the woman are related. One firefighter suffered minor injuries during the course of fighting the fire, and the cause of the blaze is under investigation. A New York City police officer is in stable condition this morning after being stabbed 3 times in his torso during an undercover drug bust. The officer, whose name is withheld because he works undercover, was attacked about 8 o'clock last night while inside the lobby of a housing project near Lincoln Center, where a crack buy and bust went wrong. Police say he was struck twice in the chest, once in the stomach, and survived only because the knife managed to somehow miss any major organs, and just barely, we're told, in some cases. Police have arrested 2 teenagers on charges of robbery, assault, and criminal sale of a controlled substance. One of them is 18, the other only 13 years old. On Long Island, a Southampton man apparently froze to death in an icy parking lot after police were unable to locate him despite 2 911 calls. 41-year-old Robert Flynn had placed the calls for help, saying he'd slipped and was trapped beneath his car and couldn't move.
Jesus.
He was found dead about 2 hours after he made those calls. Police say Flynn was incoherent and couldn't describe exactly his location.
When did this happen?
This happened the day of the snowstorm, 2 days ago.
Yep.
And the reason why he was incoherent is he banged his head.
Yep.
And so he was fighting, slipping out of consciousness.
Yep.
And he's trying to explain to them where he was, and to no avail. Unfortunately.
Couldn't accurately describe, was unable, literally, Bernie, right? To describe
right, exactly.
Location.
Was that like Monday night? Must have been.
Must have been, yeah.
Well, that's the night I felt so bad, you know.
Well, okay, Star. Miss Jones.
I just did.
I know you are. It is 3 minutes.
Oh, that's not horrible.
3 minutes after the hour.
There's a moment when you know you found the love of your life.
It was a bright night. The moon was shining through the clouds.
I don't know whether it was just the atmosphere of the evening.
12 hours went by. It seemed like an hour.
And then he said, I love you. That was the moment.
Hi, I'm Dr. Neil Clark Warren, founder of eHarmony.com. At eHarmony, we know that the secret to magical moments like these is being matched on the very deepest dimensions of compatibility, so that when you fall in love, you know it has the depth and richness to last a lifetime.
We just hit it off. We had everything in common.
I was just smitten right then and there. I'll never forget that moment.
I have found the person that I want to spend the rest of my life with.
Let us help you find the love of your life. Log on to eHarmony.com and start the journey right this moment. It begins with the powerful experience of getting your personality profile, a $40 value, yours free, when you log on to eHarmony.com.
Hey, guess what?
What?
I taught my cell phone how to play Layla.
Eric Clapton's Layla? Yeah, you want to hear? You don't teach a cell phone to play Layla. No, it's really cool. I saw an Eric Clapton concert on SBC Dish Network. Then I downloaded it on SBC Yahoo DSL. Then I downloaded the tones onto my Singular Wireless. When you're totally hooked up, you can do that stuff. That's good, but you don't... Oh, I'm getting a call. Isn't that cool? What? Getting a call. You what? Hang on. I taught it the acoustic version, too.
Add high-speed internet, Singular Wireless, or digital satellite TV to SBC voice services, and you could start saving today by combining SBC services. Plus, earn up to $150 in your choice of free entertainment rewards. Add, save, earn. Call 1-877-PIC-SBC or visit sbc.com/earn. SBC, going beyond the call. Taxes and other charges and the Federal Universal Service Cost Recovery Fee extra. For details of additional charges, restrictions, and requirements, call 1-866-416-6472 toll-free or visit sbc.com/details.
5 minutes after the hour here in the Amos Morning Program on the radio all over the country on MSNBC. I would remind everybody that, because of this unfortunate incident we had here at MSNBC where I had to demonstrate to them that I was serious, is that there's no more loyal person on the planet than me. There's no better employee. For Viacom or for NBC, there's no better. No person more willing to cooperate and do whatever they want to do to try to make it work. But don't jerk my chain.
A demonstration of that is the mere fact that you're sitting here.
Because I will walk in a heartbeat.
Secaucus, New Jersey, at MSNBC headquarters.
And I was willing to walk in Palmdale, and I'm willing to walk here.
Willing to walk, baby. Willing to walk. Willing to take that walk. Willing to walk that last mile.
But here's how loyal I am. Dan Ingram, one of the greatest rock and roll disc jockeys ever.
Amen.
And I'm not a personal friend of Dan Ingram.
Don't know him.
But I only met him a couple of times.
Sure.
But I am loyal to what he brought to rock and roll radio.
Loyal to the bone.
And he asked me to induct him into some dopey March of Dimes Hall of something. And what would I have ordinarily said under almost any circumstance?
What are you?
What are you, nuts? But no, I'm going to go over there, wherever the hell it is, and we're going to sit down and have to write something, and then I'll be happy to do it.
That's pathologically loyal.
And he was on an opposing radio station for years.
Sure. Competition.
But that nothing to do with it.
Nothing.
And I'm loyal to writers. I've been loyal to David Hinckley, that dope, forever. Just don't screw me.
No.
Because I don't really go out of my way to try to screw people.
Yeah.
No.
I've been loyal to some people who bring nothing to the table.
Precisely.
There have been guests on this show for years, and who each time around you just have you grit your teeth and you just have to try to get through it.
Yeah.
Like for example, he happens to be on the phone now, Ron in Santa. That's another example.
Good morning, Mr. Diamond.
Hi, Ron. How are you?
I'm fine. Welcome back.
Thank you.
My prayers were answered.
Pardon me?
My prayers were answered.
What do you mean?
I went to church and lit a candle for your health yesterday, and lo and behold, here you are back in the saddle, in control, even though you swore at me yesterday.
I didn't swear at you.
You said GD.
Oh, I apologize for all of you, to everybody who loves the baby Jesus, as do I, by the way, for taking the Lord's name in vain, but I just couldn't believe what I was hearing. I realized you were just trying to help, by the way.
I was trying to help, and I was having a wonderful conversation with Charles and Contessa and Bernie.
No, Ron, that was not a wonderful conversation.
We were getting into the meat of some really important issues, and I thought we were, making some great points. And Contessa was doing wonderfully well. And
that was the Marisol discussion. That was what you were having.
That was opening
a vein.
That was a thimerosal discussion that you were having.
I've never heard Charles so frightened in my entire life. I was in the middle of a sentence, and he goes, "Front, that's all we got time for. We got to go."
See you later. Thanks. Light a candle.
That was like a return from the crypt.
Are you a tennis fan, Ron?
Am I what?
A tennis fan.
I am, actually.
Anything you'd like to say to the captain of the Davis Cup team, Patrick McEnroe?
I love Patrick McEnroe. Patty Mac's a good man.
Hey, Ron, how are you?
Good. How you been, man?
I've been better, actually, since I came here this morning.
I understand the feeling.
What do you mean, how has he been? They just lost in the first round to Croatia in the Davis Cup.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Thank you. It is unfortunate. It's very
I've always been very supportive of American tennis and Johnny Mac and the whole crowd, and
sometimes you just got to keep
the U.S. Open.
You got to keep the faith, Ron.
In other words, you weren't aware they lost to Croatia, were you?
I was not aware of that, no.
How do you feel now that the entire country's been humiliated?
Well, after I go find a tub of warm water and a razor blade, I'll work through it, I guess.
But I would like to say in defense of Patrick, he did everything he could do.
Yes,
and
I believe that.
He had to go with the horses he had, and the horses he had didn't get it done for him. They let him down. And consequently, let the country down.
He's been a very fine guardian of our team, and,
He was unable to motivate these prima donnas. He's no Newt Rockney. That's the problem.
Well, there is that, too.
Now we have a stain on the flag.
Daddy, give the speech?
I gave him quite a few speeches, Ron, but I guess they all backfired.
Say, Ron, do you still own that show on WABC?
My syndicated program is carried by WABC, yes.
When is that on?
From 1 to 4 Eastern time in New York.
Okay,
and then it's 12 to 3 live in various other markets.
Maybe if you have any more to say, you could say it there, because we're out of time.
Oh, that's nice. I bailed your low-rate show out for 2 days in a row.
Thanks, Ron.
Bye-bye.
Ron and Santa here at the Amish Morning Program. Big tennis fan, huh, Patrick?
Yeah, he really knows his stuff, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's really up on his stuff.
I love Patty Max. Davis Cup,
yeah, what?
Well,
He's busy covering those markets. A lot going on there.
Is there anything you think's interesting other than the dopey tennis?
To me? Yeah, in fact, this Sunday night, the NCAA Men's Basketball Championship Tournament Committee, they'll announce the 65 teams that'll be in this year's March Madness.
I really love this tournament.
It's a great tournament. Of course, CBS will be covering it, so obviously Dan Rather signing off last night. So I thought I'd bring a little of Dan into this. For some of the schools sitting, as they say, on the bubble, the race is as tight as the rusted lug nuts on a 55 Ford. In other words, the race for a ticket to the Big Dance is shakier than cafeteria jello. For instance, Illinois swept through the Big Ten like a tornado through a trailer park, where Notre Dame has had its back to the wall and shirt tails on fire. In short, the decisions facing the selection committee this weekend would give aspirin a headache.
I hope they have a radio in rehab so Sid can hear what it's like to prepare.
To actually be ready. By the way, speaking of Dan, as we all know, he ended his run after precisely 24 years, amazing, in the anchor chair at the CBS Evening News. And, Rather will always be remembered fondly for his efforts to draw attention to women's tennis at the U.S. Open. Instead of reading the headline stories on August 30th, 1987, Dan left the chair to find a nearby sports bar where he could watch Steffi Graf's thrilling comeback victory over American Laura McNeil in the women's semis. Graf went on to lose the title that year to Martina Navratilova. And that's a small piece of our sports world, I'm Patrick McEnroe reporting. Courage.
Thank you, Patrick. 12 minutes after the hour, here's Charles with Little News. Good morning, Chuck.
Good morning, man. The man who killed himself after being pulled over by police in Wisconsin may be tied to the murders of a federal judge's husband and mother. The Chicago Tribune says this guy reportedly left a note claiming responsibility for the killings in Chicago last week. The message contained details of the case, reportedly, that were not released to the public. The Tribune also reports that investigators are trying to determine whether Judge Joan Lefkow had ever ruled against this man in some sort of civil matter. And the very latest on that case is that Chicago police have now cordoned off a home believed to be the last known address of the man reportedly tied to the double killing involving federal Judge Lefkow. Former President Clinton checked into a New York City hospital early this morning to undergo this procedure, more surgery on his chest. The former president, who's 58, arrived shortly after 5 a.m., New York Presbyterian Hospital, Columbia University Medical Center. Mr. Clinton was whisked inside through a side entrance as the Secret Service, police, and hospital security staff conducted a sweep of the walkways and corridors. The former president will undergo what we're told is a low-risk operation to remove the consequences of a complication that apparently doesn't happen that often after bypass surgery, buildup of fluid and scar tissue in the lungs.
1% of the time.
Yeah. Condition developed, though, after his quadruple heart bypass of 6 months ago.
More news coming on in a minute, 14 after the hour here on the Imus Morning Program.
Dave is a business owner.
I want to tell you that a couple of items here. Rob Bartlett and the Bartletts are performing on Saturday, March 12th at the Comedy Connection in Providence, Rhode Island. Go to robshow.com and find out about that. The Donnelly Dash in memory of Tim and Kim Donnelly is going to take place Saturday, March 19th in Bridgeport, Connecticut. you can call John Gildea, I guess it is, Gildea, at 203-209-8004 for more information, or you can call my office at WFAN in New York, and Julie or Courtney will give you the information about the number to call. If you couldn't write it down, the Donnelly Dash in memory of Tim and Kim Donnelly owned Donnelly Jewelers. They're in the corner right next to Park Lane Opticians, and they were murdered by this animal who robbed them here.
Was going around robbing jewelry stores both on Long Island and in Connecticut. Yeah.
And somebody at the Connecticut Post wrote me a letter to the managing editor, and somebody is suggesting that they change the name of that street that runs down toward the railroad station to Donnelly Drive, which I think is a wonderful idea, or to call that Donnelly Corner there or something, and I would certainly be supportive of that. I didn't know the guy very well at all. I've met him a couple times. I've been in there. He fixed a watch for me one time, and I got him in the first time he ran the New York City Marathon. I called Gloria Averbush and Averbush, and Gloria got him, and we got him a number, and he ran the New York City Marathon, and he ran subsequently several times, and seemed like a lovely couple. And,
butchered for all.
And the people in Fairfield,
God Almighty,
showed up, several thousand, for this funeral they had for these people, and they left 2 grown kids, and it's just another and an unending litany of heartbreaking stories. And also the Wounded Warrior Project Benefit Dinner, which assists men and women in the armed forces who have been severely injured in combat. They're going to have their big dinner on April 4th. And, that's something you could support. You can call them at 631-267-3142 for more information. Again, if you want to get that number, you can call my office, and Julie or Courtney will be happy to provide you with that number. So those are 3 things I wanted to mention. We didn't get much news done. McEnroe was good this morning, wasn't he?
Good. How about great?
Well, you're still here.
What was so great? Where did you think I went? Where do you think you want me to go now?
Thought you left.
No.
This is when you really need me.
You're just a privileged country club clown.
Oh, please.
Coming in here, trampling on the Iron Man and his efforts to help families with autism.
What do you know about anything?
And I can't believe the Iron Man would let this, tennis-playing pussy push him around like that. I'm kind of shocked. Hold it. To be quite honest with you.
You know something, Bernard. Sometimes to be a great tennis player takes not only athletic talent but also brain power.
Did somebody tell you this?
Not just being some huge lug, being some lughead.
What would you know about being a great tennis player?
I know plenty about it.
What? Watching on TV?
Actually, McEnroe.
Well, that's right. You're related
number
to one.
28 in the world.
No, not only that.
Not only related to one, exactly.
Once you're rated number 3 in the world in doubles.
That's exactly right.
Whoopee.
That's a pretty good tennis player.
On the women's circuit?
Hey, Bernard.
Yes, it was on a women's circuit, Bernard, but what does that have to do with anything?
Go eat some more protein powder back there, Bernard.
Why don't you get some more plugs in your head?
What the hell?
Where did that come from?
Because I think he has Dan Abrams-like plugs, believe it or not. Are you denying that?
Of course I'm denying it.
I think you're a liar.
You're out of your mind.
I think you look pretty good, though, McEnroe. I just say that.
I appreciate that. You look good, too. The makeup person over there has done a nice job today.
Yeah, right.
I want to bring him back for a little touch-up, even though we're not on MSNBC anymore. Why don't they have you on in this hour? It's absurd, actually.
Actually, it is.
Who is watching to turn on the news on MSNBC at 9 a.m.?
Who wants to see Natalie Allen and Amy Robach sit there, glamorous, gorgeous, low-cut dresses?
I'm actually at a loss, Iman, as to why you agreed to go over there and not be on for the full 4 hours. I'm actually shocked.
Because it doesn't make any difference to me.
0.
I've been on the radio for a long time, and that's what I like doing.
Well, if it doesn't make any difference, then why are you even there? How about that?
That's the cooperation element.
Because I wanted to cooperate with them. It helps them. It helps them all it helps everybody make more money.
How much extra money are you making on this thing?
I don't make any extra money from this.
Hey, listen here, Waldo.
I don't make a penny extra from
Why
this.
don't you mind your own business?
Hey, Bernard, I'm talking to the I-Man here.
Yeah,
why don't you put out, plughead?
Why don't you stick up for yourself? What is that? Pictures of you with
plughead? What are you, nuts?
Yeah,
wait, who are you talking to?
I'm talking to
I was talking to.
Hold on a second.
Oh, I got it. Here comes Chris Matthews. Just comes staggering in, and absolutely looks like he fell out of a boxcar. God, he's going to have to. His show is on at 7 o'clock tonight. He has to go into makeup now in order to try to get him. God Almighty, what a mess! Come sit down here and talk.
Holy hell.
Come sit down here so you can actually talk to an audience.
This guy doesn't need a makeup person. He needs a mortician.
26 after the hour. Chris Matthews next. And then if we have to, we'll endure more abuse from Patrick McEnroe after driving our country to the brink of, once again, humiliation. Who is this, Lou?
Boss.
Huh?
You need to be frozen out.
The boss?
10th Avenue, freeze out. I'm
okay.
Just on the city bed, school is searching for rescue. Seem like the whole world walking pretty and you keep on to move. Well, everybody better move over that song, 'cause I'm running on the bad side and I got my back to the wall. Tell the devil to freeze out. Tell the devil to freeze out. Imus in the morning.
Hi, you reach your moment.
Good night. Politician on my TV says he's only looking out for me. He says he knows what the poor man needs in the long run. But every year gives himself a raise with a chunk of every buck I make. A little sissy and a cowboy hat ain't country. No, but that's a good way. That's a real good way. That's a good way to get on my bad side. Yeah, that's a real good way to get on